Picture the Monopoly Man. You can see him clearly, almost feel him, the stiff felt of his black top hat, the bushy white mustache, and the cold glint of a monocle over his right eye, correct? You feel certain about that detail. Now, for the icy jolt of dissonance, that monocle never existed. Surveys show that over 40% of people confidently remember it, but it has never appeared on any box or in any official version of the game. Ever. And this isn't just your personal mistake. Millions of people worldwide share identical, crystal-clear memories of events that never happened. They recall the grainy TV news footage from the 80s, the somber voice of an anchor announcing Nelson Mandela's death in his prison cell. But the historical records are relentless. He died a free man in 2013. This global glitch, this fracture in our collective memory, was named by researcher Fiona Broome, the Mandela Effect. This isn't about parallel universes or a glitch in the Matrix. It's a story about a fundamental vulnerability built into the very neural architecture of your consciousness. By the end of this story, you will understand the psychological mechanism capable of surgically implanting false memories directly into your brain. And you'll see why the most cherished, emotionally charged moments of your life might be nothing more than a convincing illusion. The year is 2009. The scene, a noisy hall at the Dragon Con convention. Picture the air, thick, electric, smelling of popcorn and the ozone from old arcade machines. Amid the hum of thousands of voices debating aliens and warp drives, researcher Fiona Broome casually mentions something to her colleagues. She brings up the tragic death of Nelson Mandela in prison in the 80s. She expects to be corrected. A momentary pause, confusion, but instead she sees recognition in their eyes. Then, a ripple of agreement spreads through the group. One person, then another, then dozens in the hall share her distinct, yet completely false memory. They remember an event that never occurred. That moment in the buzzing hall became the starting point. A singularity. This was no longer one person's amusing memory lapse. It was a synchronous failure. A collective confabulation, a virus in the shared operating system of reality that had infected thousands, and potentially millions, at the same time. It was the spark that identified an isolated anomaly as a global phenomenon. And that anomaly needed a name, a classification. Fiona Broome gave it one, the Mandela Effect. And here's what is truly frightening. Not the mistake itself, but its astonishing, almost supernatural uniformity. Your false memories are not just similar, they are identical with frightening precision. Right down to fabricated details, the grainy image on a non-existent news broadcast, the somber voice of the anchor. This is no longer a coincidence. It's not universal chaos. It points to a systemic vulnerability, a predictable flaw in the security protocol of your own mind. It's not a bug. It is a feature, built into the architecture, which means it can be exploited. To understand how, we have to open the black box to look under the hood of your brain, and you will have to accept one uncomfortable truth. Your memory is not a hard drive. It is not a digital video camera that dispassionately records reality frame by frame. Forget that image. It is false. Your brain is more like an artist, a very talented but unreliable impressionist. Every time you recall something, it doesn't pull a finished painting off a shelf. No, it paints it anew, from memory. It doesn't just copy, it interprets. It heightens emotions, smooths out awkward edges, and fills in missing pieces to make the story feel whole and convincing. Right now. And here's how it does it. Imagine your most cherished memory, not as a film, but as a handful of Lego bricks. Here's a red brick, a snippet of a phrase, a blue one, the smell of summer rain, a yellow one, a pang of gentle sadness. This is all you really have. Tiny, scattered fragments of data. And every time you want to remember, your brain doesn't retrieve a finished model. It dumps these bricks on the floor and rebuilds the scene from scratch. Right now. And the empty spaces? The gaps between the bricks? It fills them with the most logical, most probable material to make the story look seamless. This process has been uncovered and cataloged. Its name is memory reconstruction. Your neural networks do not store the complete picture, only the key nodes, sensory and emotional anchors. With each recall, the brain builds new, fresh logical bridges between them. This is why your memory is always a remix, the latest version, never the original. And here we encounter the central paradox of your consciousness, a cognitive trap confirmed by thousands of forensic cases. The more vivid and detailed your memory, the higher the probability that it is a fabrication. Your absolute certainty is not a sign of accuracy. It is a sign that your brain is a master screenwriter who has skillfully filled in the missing scenes. It has created a story so convincing that you yourself believe it. The most confident witnesses are, as a rule, the most unreliable. This unconscious, creative process of filling in the blanks has a precise technical name: confabulation. It's not lying. Lying implies an intent to deceive. There is none here. You wholeheartedly believe in the reality of these constructed details, and it is this very function, this confabulation, that serves as the systemic vulnerability, the back door in your code through which the ghosts of events that never were can enter and take root in your personal history. This back door is not a theory. It has been exposed and hacked. Cognitive psychologist Elizabeth Loftus developed an elegant and cruel key. Her experiment is known as Lost in the Mall. Imagine the protocol. Her team contacts your parents. They ask for 3 real warm stories from your childhood, your first bicycle, a trip to the beach. Then, like a surgeon, they implant a 4th one between them, a fabrication, a short but detailed story. You are 5 years old. You are in a large shopping mall. You let go of your mother's hand for just a second, and you get lost. This text file is then presented to you. Your brain, receiving this artfully planted seed of a lie, immediately gets to work. It scans it. It sees familiar names and places from the true stories, and it accepts the entire package as a trusted archive. It hates emptiness. It hates incoherence. And so, it begins to construct a reality around the false core. You suddenly remember the feeling of a sweaty forehead under the bright lights, the red color of your t-shirt. You see the blurred face of a concerned woman leaning over you. You feel the warm, dry hand of an elderly person who led you to a security guard. This is confabulation in action. Your brain, your personal screenwriter, directs an entire film based on a single line from someone else's script, and it makes it real. For you. The results of this experiment were a cold shower for the entire judicial system. 25 to 30% of participants, think about that, 1 in 4, did not just accept the fiction as fact. That's too simple. They fully assimilated it, defending it as their own. They began to recall the event with unique, personal, emotional details that were not in the original text. Fear, relief, the shame of having worried their mother. A complete, living, breathing memory of an event that never happened had been successfully implanted in their brains. The Loftus experiment proved that your memory is not a fortress. It's modeling clay. It can be hacked. It can be rewritten. But if it's so easy to infect one person with a false memory in a sterile lab using just a few paragraphs of text, what happens when network technologies join this process? Technologies capable of linking 1 billion minds into a single, pulsating neural network. what happens when this memory virus, amplified by algorithms and artificial intelligence, is unleashed into the digital environment. You go to a forum like Reddit to the Mandela Effect subreddit. You're driven by a vague, almost physical feeling that something is wrong with an old movie or a logo, a tiny itch at the back of your mind. You scroll down the page and see a discussion thread where thousands of strangers describe the exact same incorrect detail with frightening precision. Your detail. At that moment, something clicks. Sharp. Deafening. Your quiet, lonely doubt, your tiny memory anomaly that you were ready to dismiss as fatigue, is now validated by an army. It ceases to be a mistake. It transforms into a collective, ironclad certainty. You weren't wrong. Reality is what's wrong. In this system, the Internet functions as a global resonance chamber for confabulation. Imagine a giant tuning fork. Your small error is a quiet, barely audible sound. But online it resonates with thousands of similar sounds. Social media and forums are perfect digital echo chambers. Within them, false memories are not critically examined. On the contrary, they are instantly synchronized. One user adds a fictional detail. Another confirms it. A third amplifies it. They crystallize and are repeatedly reinforced by thousands of anonymous voices. A private error, repeated 1,000,000 times within a closed system, becomes an indisputable fact for the entire group by the laws of social psychology. And therein lies the great, cruel paradox of the digital age. The tool we created to be the ultimate arbiter of truth, a library of Alexandria with instant access to verified facts, has mutated. It has become the most powerful incubator and distributor of collective delusions in human history. It doesn't heal our memories' vulnerabilities, it exploits them. It creates the perfect transmission medium for the virus, allowing it to spread at the speed of light, infecting millions of minds before fact-checkers have had their morning coffee. But it is crucial to understand, the Internet is only the medium, the transport. It is the perfect highway for the virus, but not its source. The memory virus itself doesn't attack technology. It strikes deeper. It exploits vulnerabilities hardwired into the most basic level of your mind's operating system. This is not a network failure. It is a failure of your perception. And these systemic bugs, these holes in your defenses, have a collective technical name, cognitive biases. Let's run a test. Right now. Close your eyes. You feel the cold of metal. You hear the mechanical hiss of a respirator. You see the black, polished mask of Darth Vader. He is looking at Luke Skywalker. And from the depths of that helmet comes a voice that has become a cultural code for generations. What line is spoken? Of course, Luke, I am your father. The line is printed on t-shirts, embedded in parodies, and replicated in millions of memes. Billions of people would swear they heard it exactly that way. But there is one fundamental problem. That line never existed. In the original film script, Darth Vader says, "No, I am your father." The word Luke is a phantom, implanted in your memory by a systemic error. Why does this work with such frightening efficiency? Because your brain, this highly complex biocomputer, has built-in code vulnerabilities. First, confirmation bias. It makes you instinctively seek out and accept information that aligns with your worldview, while filtering out anything that contradicts it. Second, the misinformation effect. New, even false, data can infiltrate your memory archive like a virus and overwrite the original files. And finally, the third and most powerful vulnerability, social proof. If the hum of millions of voices around you asserts the same thing, your brain, wired for survival within a group, will choose social comfort over the cold, lonely truth. But this isn't just a harmless game of misremembered quotes. It's something far more serious, with a real, measurable cost. The same cognitive biases that make you remember non-existent phrases are at work under the cold lights of a courtroom. A confident witness's voice, their crystal-clear recollections, it all compels a jury to believe them without question, even when they are horrifically mistaken. Understanding this vulnerability is already changing jurisprudence worldwide. Thanks to initiatives like the Innocence Project, sentences handed down decades ago are being reviewed and overturned. Because, as it turns out, blindly trusting human memory can be literally fatal. But if your brain is so systematically, fundamentally flawed, and if the modern internet, this global digital echo chamber, only amplifies and spreads these errors at supersonic speed, then how can you be sure of what is real at all? The ground gives way beneath your feet. Is there such a thing as a reliable, objective test for reality? Imagine, you are absolutely certain. You remember a comedy from the 90s. The title, Shazam, starring the comedian Sinbad as a genie. You can see it. Not as an idea, you can see the worn plastic case of the VHS tape. You can feel its rough corner. You remember the goofy purple font. You can recount scenes, feel the phantom taste of popcorn from that very day. And so you begin to search. Obsessively, you are sure you are about to hear the triumphant sound of a found file. You scour digital archives, old TV guides, dusty collector forums, but instead of movie posters, the search engines return only a deafening, humming void. The movie does not exist. It never did. Not a single film reel, not a single frame. Your personal, vivid, tangible reality shatters against a granite wall of facts. This desperate search has a technical name, reality testing. It is a function built into you, a basic protocol. It draws a demarcation line between your inner world, thoughts, fantasies, memories, and the external world. Its primary tool is external verification, archival documents, original recordings, physical objects. In this equation, your memory, however vivid, is merely a hypothesis. An irrefutable material fact is the verdict. It should be the final word. But is it? And here, a systemic failure occurs. The ultimate paradox. Faced with absolute, irrefutable proof of its error, your brain doesn't correct the memory. No, it changes its theory about reality itself. You would rather believe in a glitch in the Matrix's code, a quantum shift in timelines, or that you accidentally slipped from a parallel universe where that movie did exist. You will believe anything except for one simple, terrifying thought. Your own brain has deceived you. Protecting the integrity of your memory, preserving the sanctity of your self, becomes more important than accepting an objective but uncomfortable truth. And this vulnerability, this stubborn, almost religious desire to believe, your inner world over the facts, is not just an amusing internet phenomenon. It has a real, tangible cost, often a tragically high one, measured in years and broken lives. What are the consequences of living in a world where the very foundation of your past, your memory, can crack and betray you at the most critical moment? His name is Ronald Cotton. He spent 11 years behind the concrete walls of a prison for a crime he did not commit. Every day of that sentence was measured by a clock set in motion by a single mistake. The only evidence against him was the absolutely certain testimony of the victim. She looked him in the eye in the courtroom and, without a shadow of a doubt, said, "That's him." Years later, the cold, objective precision of a DNA test proved his 100% innocence. The witness's memory, sincere and unwavering, had simply reconstructed the wrong man's face in her mind. The justice system freed Ronald Cotton, but it could not give him back 11 years of his life. 4,015 days, stolen by a single glitch in someone else's memory. The cost of this systemic failure is enormous. In jurisprudence, according to the Innocence Project, it accounts for hundreds of ruined lives and wrongful convictions based on the most unreliable evidence of all. In history, it leads to the creation and cementing of national myths, where the collective memory of an entire people is masterfully rewritten to suit the political goals of the present. And on the deepest existential level, it undermines the very foundation of your identity. After all, if you think about it, yourself is merely the sum of your memories. And if that foundation turns out to be sand, what is there left to stand on? Can you feel the void opening up beneath your feet? And here is the most unsettling thought. If this system can make over 40% of people surveyed remember a non-existent monocle on the Monopoly man, if it can implant a phantom movie line into the consciousness of billions, what is to stop it from editing your most precious, most intimate memory with the same surgical precision and just as imperceptibly? The warmth of a first kiss. The tremor in the voice during a final conversation with a loved one. The ringing silence in the moment of your greatest triumph. Are you sure you remember it all exactly as it happened? Are you willing to bet your life on it? We have deconstructed this mechanism, broken it down into its component parts. We have seen the trigger, studied the architecture of the failure, and assessed its real-world cost. Now, let's put this schematic together to understand the most important thing, what this so-called glitch in the matrix really says about us. The entire blueprint is now before you, like a drawing on an engineer's table. The Mandela Effect is not an anomaly. It is simply a bright warning light on the dashboard, one that points to the true nature of your memory. Your brain is not a video camera that passively records reality. It is a neural sculptor. It actively molds the past anew with each recall. It uses confabulation to creatively patch holes, creating a smooth narrative. As Elizabeth Loftus proved, it is utterly defenseless against cognitive biases, and the Internet transforms these personal vulnerabilities into a planetary epidemic. Understand this. This isn't a glitch in the program. This is the program. This is the standard operating mode of your consciousness. At the beginning of this journey, you were just a passenger in the fog, a victim of a glitch you didn't even notice. Now you see its architecture, its inner gears, and this knowledge should not frighten you. Realizing that your memory is imperfect does not make you weaker. On the contrary, it gives you an incredible, almost superhuman strength. It transforms you from a spectator in your life to its conscious architect, a person who knows that their personal reality is a construct and can therefore approach it critically, test its integrity, and consciously work with it. And perhaps this vulnerability, this plasticity of your memory, isn't a bug in the system at all. Perhaps it's its most important and underrated feature. Maybe the ultimate purpose of memory is not the photographic, sterile accuracy of past details, but the creation of a coherent, meaningful, and useful story about yourself, a story that allows you to learn lessons, heal wounds, change, and move forward. Perhaps your memory is a tool that serves not the dead past, but the living future. And now that you know all this, as you feel that slight tremor of uncertainty under your skin, answer one last question. What frightens you more, the idea that your own memory, your very self, could deceive you at any moment, or the hypothesis of parallel universes where all these false memories are actually real? What is more terrifying to you? The internal, cognitive chaos, or the external metaphysical shift? Write just one word in the comments. Memory, or universes.